I'm in Chepstow to meet Oliver Heath, eco-designer, architect and television presenter. Oliver has been invited to look round a show flat of a new development being built just downriver from where I'm standing here and to share his thoughts on the project. So let's go and meet him. So Oliver, you are an architectural designer with a passion for future homes and a television presenter and writer.
Exactly.
Welcome to Chepstow. What do you think so far?
Thank you. I love it. It's so beautiful out here, isn't it? You know, stunning countryside. The Severn Estuary is incredible. You know, the tidal range is kind of stunning. I live in a seaside town myself, and I used to teach windsurfing. I used to teach people about the tide, so I've got a bit of a geeky interest in kind of tidal ranges and things like that. So I'm just looking out the window here, thinking, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and have you had a look around?
Yes, well, I've been looking around the Severn Quay development, and I'm really impressed. I've got to say, I think the people of Chepstow are very lucky to have a development with this level of thought attached to it in the city. You know, because it could have gone in all sorts of other directions, but this looks like a really well thought out, thorough, well designed development. I'm impressed. Good,
good. Here's some of the pictures of the footprint that has already been started, and I do think it's very attractive. What features have you seen so far that you particularly like?
Well, some of the features that I really like, I mean, we're just looking at the picture here. Now, as I understand it, this is the section of the development that's facing directly onto Chepstow. So this is the first thing that the local residents will be seeing. And I really like the way that Rio have thought about the existing context of a town like Chepstow and how a town like this comes together over hundreds of years of one house being built next to another one, and 50 years later another one is. For all these years there's been no sort of planning rules or sense of design, and Rio have picked up on that and created this sort of sense of patchwork facade that is immediately charming, that has a sense of context with the rest of the town. I like the way that there's no single fixed roof line. You've got 1, 2, 3 roof lines here. The facades step backwards and forwards, suggesting that one house is built in relation to another, but not necessarily at the same time. There's different colours, different materials. Looking at the style of windows, you've got an equivalent sort of sash window frame. There's a sense that these were houses both designed to sit together, but also suggesting that they're integrating with the fabric of the rest of the town. And I think there's a great level of sensitivity there, and that is a great first impression for any development that says we're working with you as a town, not saying, hey, this is a great big new thing that you're just going to have to get used to. So I think a great level of sensitivity, and I like the way that the development then changes as it moves through to the waterfront.
Oliver, what are your thoughts on the general effect a development like this will have on a town like Chepstow, a heritage town, and perhaps sort of examples of other similar towns that have had a new build like this, and how it affects the population of the town, and whether there's any integration with, one doesn't want to see necessarily, people buying these homes that only then go away, but they actually shop in Chepstow, use the facilities and the services of Chepstow. So the integration of the population, I'm concerned that is thought through. What do you think?
Well, as far as the regeneration of Chepstow goes, there's obviously a massive opportunity here. You've got the historic town, and then you've got the industrial section, which is sort of, from the pictures I've seen, have just been a bit of a blight and a missed opportunity. So when you look at the stretch of the river and the opportunities that exist here, that clearly there wasn't anything here that was maximising on connecting housing and the town to the river in this way. Lots of the rest has been taken up. So there weren't any other sort of brownfield sites that could be redeveloped. Yeah. And I think there is an opportunity. Chepstow seems to be a town that has a lot going for it. Fantastic countryside, great local makers and producers, fantastic local produce. The town is obviously a heritage town, so there's beautiful streets, a beautiful urban layout that's very charming, lots of mixture of ranges of ages of architecture with the stone gate and all the sort of winding streets. So it's immediately very charming. And I think there's always danger when a new development comes in with new architecture, modern architecture, that there is a mistrust of modern architecture. But I I think what's going on here is the architects, Rio architects, have been very sensitive to that and opened up this once closed off industrialised area and allowed people to walk into it, allowed the residents of the development to walk from here into town. So, you know, we're increasing the pedestrian route. There are connections through the development to the river. So, you know, you're allowing the stretches of green and the public access to the river, and so increasing that. So it strikes me that there is and has been a lot of thought dedicated towards how do we make this part of the town, not a new town, that's connected to it. How do we integrate through? How do we make connections to the shops? And I think what we will hopefully see is it's a quality piece of design like this will introduce a new market, new people into the town. It will bring money. It will bring a demand for standard of living to the town that will encourage local producers to say, oh, we should be selling cheeses, meats, local dairy produce, crafts in the town. There's a market for it. Well, you know, let's take over a shop. Let's get those producers in, those retailers in the town to start stocking stuff. And I think, you know, there's a sense that it will start to kickstart a demand for local crafts, local businesses to come in and interact with the town. So, you know, I think it's a really positive thing for the town.
With energy costs increasing year on year, what innovative design features have you seen, or what would you suggest that helps owners keep their energy bills down in a development like this?
Well, in this development, as I understand it, they have a system called Smarter Homes. It's a control-fall system, which allows the people who are living in flats like this to interact with iPads, with portable devices of all sorts. There are other brands are available, I would say. Connect with those, and so they can start to control the immediate environments within the homes. Now, if you put the residents in control, if you can allow them greater control over their environment. So when they leave home, they can just with touch button make sure all the lights are off, make sure that the heating drops down from, say, 21 degrees in the living space down to sort of 19 in the daytime. If you give people the opportunity to control that more, then you can start to reduce people's energy use and resource use. So what we need to be looking at is reducing gas usage for heating and hot water, electrical use by turning lights off and having efficient appliances, and water use. And all of those things can theoretically be controlled within the smart homes control-fall system. And so putting people in touch allows greater behavioural change and makes it easy for people. And I think that's important, that sustainability isn't something that's an additional add-on. It's just an integral factor of good contemporary design, well thought out design, and making something that you can be in control of easily.
How do you see a good? Tell me about a design for a good living, practical living space. You know, sometimes these modern places have no storage. How do you see this happening?
Well, I think when you design a home, you've got to integrate storage into it. And it's nice to see around the show flower here that there are lots of cupboards for clothes, for storage, for books, for things like that. So when I'd approach it, I'd look to put sort of 15 to 20% of the floor area as storage space for any room, so that you've got room to put the stuff away. And the things that are important to you have places to sit and to shine out so that they can express your own personality. But we all have increasing amounts of stuff, and I think many of us would actually like to have less, or at least have somewhere to put it. So storage is really fundamental. But equally, you know, a house is somewhere that should reflect yourself, your personality, your history, your interests, and it's nice to have a combination of open storage and closed storage, and, you know, places to put the pictures, the objects, the books, the things that speak about who you are. So it's, you know, it's a bit of a balance. We have to find ways of doing that and integrate that into the floor area. But it seems that actually the floor area of these flats are actually quite generous. So it does seem like there is space for, you know, real size furniture, for the clothes that we have, the books and the styling objects that we need. So it's a good combination of, you know, space for your furniture and space to hide the things you don't want to see, and leaving space for the things that mean something to you. Yeah.
Well, I think this has been absolutely wonderful. Very interesting, very enlightening, very inspiring. Thank you very much for coming to Chepstow.
A pleasure. It's delightful to see it. I think it's a really interesting development.
Will you come back again when it's all finished?
I'd love to. I'd love to see what happens. So when I come back, I want to see cucumbers, artichokes, tomatoes growing in those flower beds,
Yep.
and people just picking and eating them.
It's a deal.
Yeah?
It's a deal.
I'd like to see that.
Thank you
Great.
very much.
I'll hold you to that.
Thank you.